Bali that Vamana Dev is Vishnu in disguise and will take everything away, he orders Bali not to give land and insists that breaking one's promise is justified to prevent personal loss. Basically, he was telling him that you have everything, you have all the opulences, and you know what's happening, so you shouldn't act like a fool. And he also presents a lot of arguments. One of them says that under these conditions, it's okay to lie, which is, well, whatever. So basically, Bali Maharaj, he chooses devotion over any material gain, and he rejects his guru's instructions. Shukracharya then felt very insulted, and he cursed his disciple. This situation presents a major philosophical lesson, and we'll learn about that, basically. Why exactly do you think Bali Maharaj Shukracharya cursed Bali Maharaj? What all reasons did he present? Does anyone remember the gist of it?
I don't remember the gist, but Shukracharya knew that Lord Vamanadev would take away everything, and because Shukracharya was dependent on Bali Maharaj for his livelihood, his position would be compromised. And so he was afraid that he would lose his job pretty much, or he'd lose whatever he had because Lord Krishna would take away everything.
So Shukracharya, like all the religious leaders these days, he prioritized position, influence, wealth over any actual spiritual progress. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, that Krishna personally protects and provides for those who surrender unto him. So you don't need to go through all these difficult processes of following the Vedas, learning what's written in them, trying to, do a lot of sacrifices or austerities. And so it leads to my second question. Can a guru ever be wrong? What should a disciple do in such a case? And even before that, how should we choose a guru so that this problem doesn't arise in the first place? Yes.
We should find that if they're coming from a disciplic succession, and what they're preaching is similar to what the acharyas before them have preached, and we've kept the philosophy same.
Yes. Monoprabhu.
If they are walking the talk, if they are doing what they're preaching, that is very important.
Nobody is perfect. The Guru has to be Goswami, not a Godas.
Would you like to explain a Goswami and a Godas?
The master of his senses.
And not a servant of his senses.
Not the servant.
Only the servant of Krishna. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that Rupa Goswami lists 6 things that one should control in order to be called a Swami or Goswami. So one should choose someone who has controlled all those 6 urges.
Yes. And also in Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, he says that Vipra Dvishad Guna Yutadara Vindanabha Padaravinda Vimukha Swapacham Varishtam, which means that if a Brahmana has all 12 Brahmanican qualifications, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater, but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana, because the devotee can purify his whole family, whether the so-called Brahmanas can't even purify themselves. So by this, we understand that although people say a lot of things, and these religious leaders can be very misleading. And we see it by the example of Shukracharya that under such circumstances, when the Guru has lost his discrimination, it's okay to disobey his instructions. But this is not to be taken lightly, or it's it's a heavy topic in itself, and also one should always be respectful to his guru, even if something like this does happen. By the example of Bali Maharaj, we see that he very respectfully let his spiritual master know that such, I unfortunately cannot do what you said, because this is the Lord himself, and I will do what the Lord wills. So what happens when religious traditions become a means of material gain? What happens in such a case?
So something like this happened when Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was here. The Chaitanya Mutt, at that time, he said that there will be fire in the Mutt and people will be fighting for who gets what room. So basically they will be fighting for material possessions in religious organization. And we've seen that happened, and it broke the religious community in that sense. Like they're not together now, it's different. They're very broken down. So that's what happens when material things get into religious traditions.
Yes. Anyone else? The question was, what happens when religious traditions become a means of material gain? Like you only do that, you only practice spirituality to gain something material. Antariksha Prabhu.
You forget who you are and your purpose in this life.
You forget who you are, and you forget the purpose of your life, which is your dharma. Dharma is lost. You had something to say?
I was going to say that the potency gets removed. We're taught to be selfless, like Krishna conscious, all about doing service selflessly. But if we do everything with an intention of trying to gain something in return, then everything becomes tainted.
Yeah, basically religion becomes a business with God. That a transaction. I will do this. Please give me this. Or people don't even say please. I did this, so you better give me this. It's more like that. So yes, the true purpose, dharma, is lost, and people become divided. It becomes more of a transaction and a business. Yes.
You mentioned if someone does that, dharma is lost. How would you explain the what was that person? Dhruv Maharaj's case. He was negating on Vishnu to get something material, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. So you can always correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone would like to add anything to that? But according to my understanding, wait, can you repeat that? The thoughts, they were so they kept rushing, and it's all jumbled now. Yes.
You mentioned if someone does this religious practice
Yes.
for material gain, dharma is lost. So how would you explain that situation when Dhruv Maharaj is trying to gain something material?
Yes.
Kind of being religious.
Yes. Okay. So Dhruv Maharaj, he performed austerities, and he was doing all he was doing to gain a kingdom greater than that of his grandfather, a great grandfather, and he by the mercy of the Lord, he realized that that's not what he wants. Basically, Krishna says that rather, like, Krishna is always happy when you approach him for anything. So although we as devotees also have a lot of desires, but Krishna encourages all of us to go to him, right? And he basically, what I'm trying to say is, although Dhruva Maharaj had material desires, he approached the Lord, and because he was very sincere, and the Lord guided him to the right path. But I don't think this is complete. Maharaj.
Well, Dhruva did have those desires. He was very angry, and so his motivations were maybe not the best. But through his sadhana, he became purified, And then he met a guru, we can't forget that. He met Narada Muni. Narada Muni gave him a mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And as a result of his pure chanting, his desires, your desires don't go away, they just get transformed. So it went from, something self-centered to pure. He became pure in his desires, so he was able to have personal darshan with the Lord. The Lord took his sangha, his conch, and touched his head with it, and he got all this incredible mercy. And so that's the point. He did not become a blind follower of religion. He kept the integrity, and religious communities do lose their integrity. I'm just tying this in with the former, that you discussed.
Yes.
When they lose their integrity, and they kind of just go by the book, and not by the heart, and not by experience, then it really gets, let's say, just destroyed. It's destroyed. But Dhruva was a very advanced soul, and he had overcome his anger, and he took more or less his anger management course through Narada Muni, But then, many years later, that little latent anger surged again when his brother was killed by some yaksha, and so he wanted vengeance. And this whole, even though he was a great devotee, he had seen the Lord personally, this uprising of toxicity came to him, and again, what stopped this sort of negativity was the mother, one of his ancestors representing purity, said, "Stop! You have to stop this." And because he's a cultured man, he accepted what his elders had to say.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I trailed off a little bit, but
That makes perfect sense, Maharaj. Nityananda Prabhu, does it answer your question?
it's okay.
Yes.
I want to add something. Bhagavatam says, Akama sarva kamo vare, moksha kamo dharali, tivrina bhakti yogena, yata purushamparam. So, regardless of whatever desires one may have, you should do bhakti yoga. And Prabhupada writes that in due course of time they get purified. And that's what happened to Dhruva Maharaj. She had a desire, but he became purified through the process of devotional service and approaching of Krishna. Yeah.
Yes. And do you have anything to say, Prabhu?
The root cause of Dhruva Maharaj's desire was that his father, he could not have his father's love. The possessions was all secondary, but the primary thing that he wanted to have his father's love, and his mother disrespected him, the stepmother. And that's where his own mother guides him, that you should go for the supreme love and the love that your forefathers got. All those positions were from Vishnu. At the same time, the mother says this, take blessings of your stepmother as well, because of her, you are going closer to the Lord. And he was really looking for supreme love, and that's when Narada Muni came to give him strength and vision.
Yes. And coming back to Bali Maharaj, even though he was cursed by his guru, he remained very firm in his surrender to the Lord. And this basically shows his devotion and true faith. Krishna, whenever we talk about religion and religious practices, we always talk about this very famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Paritaja, Mamekam Sharanam Raja, Amtam Sarva Papevyo, Mushashamima Sucha. What does Krishna say in this verse?
Abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender to me. I will deliver you from all sins not here.
Yes. So Krishna says that abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So how does Bali Maharaj exemplify this verse? Would you like to give some points by which we can understand that, yes, Bali Maharaj understood the assignment? Yes.
Bali Maharaj was aware that after agreeing to give 3 pieces of land, he will lose everything that he had. Still, he was ready to surrender everything in his possession. So that shows full surrender.
Yes. And what are some things that we can learn and practically apply from Bali Maharaj's example? You can get creative with this.
Can learn difference between Vishnu and Krishna?
Learn difference between Vishnu and Krishna? Yes. Anyone else?
Follow your heart.
Follow your heart. Follow the super soul in your heart. Yes.
Doesn't matter what happened, like if when you're practicing spirituality, doesn't matter if Krishna is being nice or being harsh, we still should surrender onto his will, and take it as a gift from Krishna, because at the end Krishna doesn't do anything to harm us eventually. Like even if he's trying to cheat Bali Maharaj or trying to insult him in front of everyone, he is still, at the end, he glorifies his devotee and makes him one of the 12 Mahajans. So.
Yes. Antariksh
In the
Prabhu.
previous verses, Bali Maharaj, while giving arguments to Shukracharya, he mentioned that he is a descendant of Prahlad Maharaj, and he would follow his footsteps, where he mentioned that he gave some Vedic injunctions as well, where a brahmachari or Brahman comes, you cannot say no to them.
Yes.
Being a king, you are obliged to kind of serve them.
Okay. By what Devanshi said, it's also one of the points that I noted. It is that sometimes surrender to Krishna may look like a loss, but in reality it is the greatest gain. And I'm talking in context of what Shukracharya was trying to explain to Bali Maharaj about loss and gain of the kingdom and whatnot. Mohan Prabhu, you had something to say?
I was wanting to highlight this, that Bali Maharaj is saying that even if he irreligiously arrests me or even kills me, I shall not retaliate, although he is my enemy. We'll disregard this last part. He's basically
He's supposed to be his
Yeah.
enemy.
At heart, he's not feeling Krishna as his enemy, but he's feeling Krishna as his best friend or best
Well-wisher.
well-wisher. So even if we feel like in devotional service or in service sometimes we've been treated unfairly, irreligiously, but we should always be surrendered to Krishna, never kind of leave Krishna consciousness or this process because we felt, we've been treated unfairly, or it was not rightly done to me. So I feel like yes, we should always trust Krishna's plan and then always move forward with that.
Always trust Krishna's plan. Yeah, sometimes we may have to let go of something dear, like a job, a relationship, or social approval. And we have to do it in order to, at first we won't realize when these things happen, and we might even be anxious. Oh, why did this happen? Why did I lose my job? I lost this person who was very dear to me, and we're not friends anymore. We're not brothers anymore, or whatever. Oh, I lost my social status. But in the long run, it always ends up helping us advance in our Krishna consciousness by fully surrendering to Krishna. Yes, Maharaj. I'm sorry.
It's such an interesting pastime. Perhaps it's the most complex of all the leelas. Because it involves, guru and rejecting guru, which will happen here. Now, you raised the question earlier on, under what circumstances do you give up on the guru? And like in the cases when the guru deviates from the sampradaya and the doctrines of the whole tradition, then what one should appropriately do, which Bali seemed to do, was go to the guru and say, but listen, let's just try to reason this out, let's try to think a little different, All along you're telling me I should worship Vishnu, and now you're saying not. So it's a little bit of a bipolar kind of situation here. And so Gopal Bhatta Prabhu, one of our great teachers in our lineage, he also addressed this topic, if the guru goes off the rails or off track, once you go to the guru and humbly beg, please can we, see you back in your glorious position. At least make that humble attempt, and do it for some time. And if one fails, if that person decides not to get back onto the Sampradaya lineage, then you can reject. So it looks to me like there's some reasoning that goes on here. Bali Maharaj says, hey, look at, he's innocent, what's the harm? He's a Brahmin. I'm supposed to give to the Brahmins, that's our culture, so in other words, he was trying to talk to his guru with reason. And but Shukracharya is obviously not such an advanced soul, obviously. Like maybe he was attached to his salary.
Salary.
But in the same way that Manthara was, she had poisoned Kaikeyi, because she didn't want her position to be compromised. Anyway, there's a lot here, so much, and I have a few more things to say, but let me.
Yes, and continuing on that, practicing Krishna consciousness may mean losing worldly opportunities, and a lot of things that everyone else does, we don't really do it. So sometimes we might feel like we're missing out on life. But Krishna always compensates in ways that we cannot foresee or reciprocate, right? Yes, Antariksh Prabhu, you had something to say.
Question was, Prabhu, in Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned that Shukracharya is one of the representatives of Krishna, and he's very wise, very intelligent Brahmin, very political as well. And at the same time, when we read this pastime, Krishna first encouraged to have that Amrit. When they had the Amrit, the immortal Amrit, the demigods drank the Amrit, they defeated Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was killed. Shukracharya revived him with his Sanjeevani Mrit Sanjeevani Vidya. And then that's where he accepts him as a spiritual master, and then he defeats immortal demigods at that time. That's where Vishnu says that since Brahmana's blessings are there, his spiritual master's blessings are there, that's why nobody can defeat Bali Maharaj. Now he's the honor of 3 worlds. So here he was represented as a very opulent and highly qualified Brahman. His blessings were so strong, even the immortal Amrit did not work on demigods. If we see it through that thing. And that's where God has to do another Leela to kind of trick him again. So how is like this? At one place he is represented as a very highly qualified spiritual master, and then at the very next moment he is represented as one of the selfish or Karamkandi Brahmins.
He is highly learned Brahmana. He does everything by the books, and when you follow the Vedas and the Puranas, nothing's wrong. You can still do that. So he was a really learned and respected Brahmana. That is correct. However, he just wasn't surrendered to Krishna. So does that make sense, Maharaj?
Yes, surely. I mean, Ravana was an advanced Brahmin.
Yes.
Hiranyakashipu was he was like a jnani, extremely learned, understanding the Vedas, very philosophical when it came to appeasing the relatives of Hiranyaksha, his brother. So it was highly qualified, but they have an animosity. Even Duryodhana was a great statesman when Krishna came and said, you're a good man, you got a lot of good qualities, you've got lots of skills and talents here, people love you, but there is a problem. And that problem is, you don't like me. Krishna didn't exactly put it like that. I did have a question, if that's okay. So when you quoted the verse 1866 from Bhagavad Gita, in your minds, what does it mean, Sarva Dharman Parityajya? It says, give up all varieties of religion. Does that mean I should give up Islam, if I'm a Muslim? Or I'm a Baha'i follower, should I give that, I'm a Christian or Buddhist? Is that what we're talking about? What do we mean by Sarva Dharman Parityajya? Sarva all, Dharma, religion, Parityaja. So what does it mean? Let's make it a little more clear.
Mm.
Like you or anybody?
Yes. I'll take a moment to think about it.
Okay.
But it definitely wouldn't mean to.
Okay, you're doing good.
Yes.
We have some hands here while you're waiting. For
Sardak Prabhu.
Go ahead.
So there are a lot kind of dharmas, Pitri dharma, Rashtriya dharma. There are duties towards everybody. So I think in that context, let us leave those duties and surrender unto me.
Yes.
Or this is the most important duty. This is the most important occupational duty.
The most important duty is to give up your duties.
So
Sorry, without a mind, Parityaja.
So,
Surrender.
yes, all that Prabhu talked about. You as a human being, you have a bunch of duties and responsibilities. You have to be a good citizen. You have to be a good son. You have to be a good brother or a good employee or whatever. But basically, do all of that as long as it doesn't go against Krishna's will. But whenever a situation arises where where you have to choose between these dharmas, that like being a good this or that, or being surrendered onto Krishna, then you must choose Krishna. Normally, do all of it. Be a good citizen. If you're Islamic, follow it. If you're a Christian, follow it. But wherever and whenever those injunctions go against what Krishna said, then we must follow Krishna and reject the other things.
One time Srila Prabhupada said, the only religion is Sarvadharma and Parityaja, surrender to Krishna. And all other dharmas, in this case dharma, may not be so appropriately translated as religions, but rather duties, okay? Duty as a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or husband, wife, mother, mom, dad, uncle, aunt. Forget, it's just, and it's a verse, 1866, very much applies to people at the fag end of life, when, I get it now, I'm retired now. I'm retired. I'm resigning to the fact that I just have to give everything to Krishna. So that's what I was trying to get from you, great devotees, and it looks like you're spot on. Dharma, it oftentimes refers to duty, prescribed duties with respect to, are you functioning as a teacher? Are you a Kshatriya, like a big manager? Are you a king? Are you the prime minister? Are you Donald Trump? Blah, blah, blah. Definitely Trump should surrender. He's off, of course, really off, of course, when he thinks he's following religious people. Anyways, it's a long topic, and I just want to add, we just came from India doing this drama.
Haribol.
And people love it. And we had to narrow everything down. We couldn't get into all the complexities of guru versus disciple and all this. We had to keep it a little simple, but the characterization that came out of these devotees, they did such a spot-on job.
Haribol.
It was really great.
We have the video online, right?
It's
Yes.
an hour-long video.
Yeah.
Oh, which one?
The drama.
The one that we did?
No,
Yeah.
we should
How
have
come I
one.
never get to see them?
We should have one in Bhagavatam class.
We can share that in the group.
Is it
But
like a one-camera video?
Yeah. it is.
Okay. Well, we've got someone who do 5 cameras, and we're just waiting for that to be
Yeah,
ready.
so maybe we can have a better experience.
So do you all have a chance to see that?
No, we
Just individually.
We'll wait for 5 cameras.
Okay,
We'll
great.
have the
That, and the intercoming we did again with new outfits. And, yeah.
yeah.
But it's a great story. It's a great, and let's not forget Bobby is one of our 12
Mahajans. Yes.
because he just did the right thing, did it all up.
With that said, we're also going a little over time, so
Yes.
it'll be nice to end the Bhagavatam class here. Thank you very much. If if I said anything that wasn't exactly perfect,